You're listening to the T21 Podcast, brought to you by Down Syndrome Group of the Ozarks. Our mission is to bring life and wellness to families who are advocating towards a community of inclusion for individuals with Down syndrome.
Welcome to the T21 Podcast. I'm Ben Ward, sitting alongside Chloe Jones. Thanks for joining us today. In today's episode, we are shining a light on what comes after high school and the incredible opportunities that await individuals with Down syndrome, intellectual disabilities, and developmental disabilities. We're joined today by Dr. April Phillips, the director of Missouri State's Bear Power, which supports students with intellectual and developmental disabilities as they transition beyond graduation, and is designed to build skills, confidence, and independence. This is a conversation about possibility, purpose, and creating pathways to a bright and empowered future. So let's dive in. April, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you on today's episode. And like I said, let's dive in and just get straight to it. So
Sure.
You're the director of Missouri State's Bear Power program.
Correct.
So for those listeners that may not know what that is, can you give us a brief overview of what Bear Power is?
Sure. It is a inclusive post-secondary program that's at Missouri State University, 5 semesters long. The students attend classes with traditional peers. For those 5 semesters, we don't do summers, so just try to make sure that's clear. They live on campus. They have one class that's just for Bear Power students, the only time they're not in an inclusive setting. And then during our program, we also give them opportunities to have that social engagement, learn friendships and relationships, and get job experience through internships.
Awesome. That's a pretty
We
incredible.
pack a lot into 5 semesters.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How did you get to the point of working at Bear Power? What is your background?
My early years was preschool, teacher and daycare director, and then going through my education, I became a special education teacher for Kirbyville schools, and I was there for several years, and then we had to move to Southeast Missouri. I cried, but good experiences anyway. But you know, when you have your work family,
Yeah.
you have those, and I tried to have that wherever we go. Anyway, I continued on and got my master's degree and my doctorate degree in education, leadership, and policy analysis. A really long title. Basically, is helping educators be the best they are and help your staff and help those with disabilities and all the things. It's all wrapped up in that. But I worked at Ozark Schools for 5 years as a process coordinator, worked other locations, also was a special ed director at Stratford Schools, and this position became open. And I wasn't looking because I was at Stratford, and my husband said, "This is just open, this is up your alley." I'm like, I can't retire, I'm in K-12. And he's like, "This is up your alley." I'm like, okay, fine. So I'm a spiritual person, so I said, I'll apply and let God. And here I am.
Wow.
So that's how I ended up at Bear Power.
That's really cool. So I'm going to just jump forward a little bit, okay? So we talked about what Bear Power is, and we'll get into, who can apply, maybe, what's needed for a student, things like that. But I want to get into just really quick, what does a week look like for a student at Bear Power? I think, we'll get into the details of everything else, but just to get it off the top here, what does a week look like for a student?
A day in the life or a week in the life. So they are required to take at least 6 hours of college hours, and then they have the Bear Power class. So that could look like 2 classes a semester. Might have class Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 to 10:50, and then another class from 2 to 2:50, a couple of days a week or something like that. Our students right now in our Bear Power class, one section is Monday, Wednesday from 4:45 to 6. Another section is 9:30 to 10:45. So it really depends. Just like taking college classes, your schedule can look different from semester to semester. But within those parameters, we have them work with a graduate assistant, like a tutor, one-on-one, so at least an hour or 2 a week that they have that person they can go to and get help with academics, maybe proctoring a test for them, helping them email a professor, finding a resource on campus, those kinds of things. We also have student workers that are tutors, so we have additional supports available if they want to sign up and go get additional help so they can come to the office and get that assistance. Other than that, their week would be hanging out with friends, meeting with their ambassador, who is their peer mentor. They might have coffee together. They might have lunch together. They might go to a game. They might go do laundry together. Who knows? Some travel off campus and go thrift shopping, like whatever you do with friends.
Yeah, I was so glad you said that, because I was wondering kind of how do they integrate into college life?
Right,
Like,
and they live on campus, so
Okay.
they're in the dorm and have those experiences as well. And, do laundry in the dorm and go find your meals or things like that. Go to the rec center and work out or walk around campus and enjoy the climate when it's not snowing or raining or all the things.
Yeah. It's Missouri, you never know.
You never know. And what else? I would say just filling in your time with whatever you want to do. But, the big part of going to college is academics, right?
Yeah.
So finding that time to work on the homework and completing those assignments that you have to do.
We actually had an MSU Bear Power intern here at the shop at Upside Down Mercantile last semester.
And hopefully returning.
Yes,
She's working
she's
out her
starting next
schedule.
week.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
good.
I sent her a list of days, and she was like, none of those work. I was like, well,
But she's
let's-
advocating for
let's
herself,
try.
right?
Yes, she
Yes.
is. Yes,
Yeah.
she is.
Yeah.
But then she came back and said, yes, those do work.
Okay.
So, sometimes she has her sleep days, but she'll be coming in. So we're excited to have her back, Emily.
Yes.
But yeah, and she gets a lift and comes from her campus. Comes from her campus to the shop and does that twice. She did that twice a week. And she's a part of a college ministry that she goes to weekly. So it is so cool. And she's not from Springfield. So her parents are far away. Do a lot of parents, I've always been curious of this, how do parents kind of navigate this process of their child leaving? I mean, just like any parent, obviously,
Yes.
with their child going to college, but especially with their child with disabilities, that I'm sure it brings new fears.
It does, and sometimes it's not unlike any other parent that has a freshman. There's always that concern with safety or what's it going to look like and how are they going to do and things like that. But as the process for going through admissions through Bear Power, it takes a bit. We have a long application, then we have an interview, and then we have them on campus for a day. And so with all those pieces, and then we present open house twice a year, hoping to answer questions and things like that. But we talk about, what's it going to look like? You're always a phone call, FaceTime away from your student, however you want to communicate with him or her. You can come visit them. We're not restricting what that looks like. We just hope that you give them the independence so that they can use the resources and supports within our program and take that step back and let them grow. I know that you've had to be that advocate, pushing, fighting for some support or situations or whatnot. I understand completely, but this is the time for them to fly and let them do those things. And some students are just, amaze their parents about oh, I didn't know they were ready for da-da-da, and they told me they don't want me to. I'm like, right, that's fine, And then some still want that parent interaction and support, which is fine. The thing we have to have them sign off is that FERPA release. And we tell the parents that once the students are in our program, they are the adult.
Yeah.
They are the decision maker. If they want you to be in the meeting or helping with decisions, then they have to sign that release, and we can invite you to a Zoom call or have an in-person phone call, whatever. And some were like, yes, I want parent there. And some were like, and no. I'm like, okay. This is
I was
your stuff.
curious what FERPA was. I saw that on the MSU Bear Power website. I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It's basically a release saying that parents can.
Because they're of 18 and they are considered adult. And that gets tricky sometimes with our students with disabilities if they have guardianship.
Yeah.
And I totally understand that, but in the higher ed, it doesn't really count, which is weird to me, but that's what the lawyers tell me. However, we do make sure that whatever's in that guardianship, we are mindful of, like if it's a general one or if it's medical, if it's more just about marriage or bill paying, those kinds of things. We want to make sure that everyone's on the same page of what that looks like. So if a student has a guardianship, we make sure that the medical center is aware, the Res Life staff are aware, that if there's a situation that there are some other people that need to be included in conversations and decisions. So we try to be mindful of that just so parents and students know that we just don't throw it out the window. Sorry about that, hit that. We try to make sure we're covering all the bases because we don't want unintentional consequences, and things can happen, and we want to make sure the students are taken care of.
What I love about conversations like this for me is I learn, just along with our listeners, a lot about a program that I may not have been as knowledgeable about. And what I'm kind of hearing a little bit is obviously the academics. You're there for the academics. You're and earning, and we'll talk about what they earn at the end of the program and things like that. But it sounds like that second most important step is really the independence that they're getting at this college life. Are you noticing in the time you've been with the program, are most of the individuals able to acclimate to that and kind of gain that independence a little bit more, maybe even surprisingly to some people? Are you noticing that?
Yes. I was expecting to possibly help people with laundry. I've not had to help anybody with that, so that's been great. And the navigating campus is usually that first step of independence. So we guide them. We show them how to find their classes, how to remember where the classes are, help them learn how to use the Bearline shuttle. If they go downtown to art classes, that can be a little scary. But we help them with our staff to do those things. And then they got it. And I had one student a year or two ago. He went downtown for class and he missed the shuttle, or he didn't remember about it. He walked all the way from Brick City all the way back to his dorm. I'm like, that's great. I don't want you doing that, but that's
kind of a long ways.
A little bit. It's doable.
Yes.
But it surprised me, and I was like, good for you. However, here's some things you can call for help. You can call for a ride from Bearline. Here's some strategies and things like that. But he didn't complain. He was like, I just walked. Oh, okay.
That's awesome. I'm not great with distance, but for those listening, that's probably about a mile? Right around there, roughly? Maybe a little more?
Maybe,
So
yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah. Otherwise, independence, I would say some not only struggles, but also huge gains is breaking out of that comfort zone and trying to make friends, going to clubs, student organizations, reaching out to even for help. Like, I'm struggling with this class. I haven't turned anything in. How do I get help? And then other pieces of what I would get pleasantly surprised about is the level of independence of what do I do when there's a conflict? I'm not happy with my roommate, or I'm not happy with whatever this person did at class, which doesn't happen very often, but just them speaking up like, I don't like this. And okay, so what are you going to do about it? Or how can we help you with that? And then I'd say other pieces are, it's interesting is that the social engagement piece, that they're like, well, I want a relationship, but I don't know how to make friends. And so how can I get to that point of whatnot? I did have one student, when he started, he was interviewing for Bear Power. I said, why do you want to come to Bear Power? Why do you want to come to college? I want to meet the love of my life. Okay, well, that might not happen.
Everybody has their reason.
But let's help you make some friends so, we can see where that helps you grow.
That's really cool.
You've already kind of went into it a little bit, but I wanted to ask if there's any stories or examples or experiences from someone that just has stuck out to you over your years being at Bear Power.
Oh, goodness. There's lots. We do cohort model. Okay. So every fall, we start a new group. We've had 5 cohorts graduate. So we've had 25 individuals complete the program.
That's incredible.
And several individuals with Down syndrome. So it's awesome to see them overcome the stereotypes of not being able to do whatever. They're like, I can do this. Yes, you can. You totally can.
Yeah, they're like confused whenever people think that way.
I know.
Why would they think that?
I don't know.
And we don't know either.
It's crazy. But so there's so many. The several people that we talk about and just highlight big takeaways is a couple of students were roommates on campus, and then I didn't say this before, but our students don't have to take all the prereqs of courses because we only have them the 5 semesters, so they don't have to take the Math 101, English 101, whatever, unless they want to. They can get into the content that they want to study. So if a student that loves art, they can just take art classes. If they love writing. They can just take English classes.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah.
So very individualized plans.
But they work with a typical advisor on what classes they want. We just try to help them guide, like, here are some classes or some career pathways that you might want to consider if you're interested in XYZ. And so with that, these students were able to eventually take master level courses because they had taken all the undergrad courses in their area of interest. They took their classes for credit after they started taking classes for audit. And that means, like, if they have an IEP modifications, that's taking the classes for audit. So instead of a 5-page paper, maybe you do a 1-page paper. If you have writing difficulties, maybe instead of writing essay answers, that you write in bullets. Maybe it's, unlimited time on a test. We can read the test to you. Help. There's so many individual modifications that we could possibly do. So that would be auditing. But some of the students can transition from that. They start taking classes for audit because, one, they're not sure, they're nervous, they're not, like, I don't know if I can do this. And then they can transition to taking it for credit by the middle of the semester. Like, if they're doing everything like everybody else, we can change it to credit, which is awesome for them. It's kind of like that pat on the back, like, oh, you're doing it like everybody else. We have had some professors come to us and say, so-and-so should be taking this for credit. They're rocking it.
Oh, wow.
Okay, we'll change it. That's fine. But the opposite is also true. If the student takes it for credit and it's a struggle, the tests are harder or too long, or the homework is the timing, whatever reason, we can switch it to audit as well. Our goal is for you to get some more content and knowledge so you can have competitive employment. So what is it going to take to help you learn some more skills and knowledge for what you want out of life?
So are there certain benchmarks at each semester that you're looking for these individuals to hit in order to, I mean, not necessarily that they're already going to continue on in the program, but you say it's only 5 semesters long. So what happens, if you have an individual that's not quite maybe meeting some benchmarks that you guys had set towards the end of that time? Are they able to go longer, or is it that 5 semesters is it? And
generally, it's the 5 semesters. We've not had anyone continue on and not complete Bear Power. Okay. We do require them to maintain a 2.0 GPA, but even if one semester they do poorly, even with the supports that we've offered, like, we've offered supports, that they don't always take us up on that, right? And so those are conversations we have. Part of our student handbook is an agreement saying you'll go to classes, you're going to do your best, you'll use the resources, you're going to meet with your GA, you're going to do internships. Like, you have to be doing these things, or we have to have conversations. We do have a discipline process. So if there's, we've had to have 2 or 3 meetings, then it might be like, this is not the best fit for you. So maybe you may have to leave the program. We've only had to do that once, and it was because of academics, and that was before me. So I just know of the situation. We've had a couple students leave because they were choosing more social life than the
goes back to that
college.
independence
Yeah.
factor.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, yeah. So they were really feeling the freedom,
Yeah.
and not choosing wisely and going to class and doing the homework and things like that. So after a couple conversations, even last fall, I had a student, and I said, this is where we're at. This is, expectations, and you're doing X, Y, Z. And the student said, I think I will choose to leave right now instead of getting another strike against me and being dismissed. So maybe I can try again later. I said, that is a great plan. I love that idea because there's such potential, but you do have to do the things. Yeah. And so those are the benchmarks as we talk about, is attendance, engagement, and trying on grades and things like that. And if our students do get below that 2.0 GPA for a semester, the next semester's academic probation, just like any other student on campus. And we talk about strategies, like, what are we going to do next? Like, are we going to increase how many times you're coming to see the tutor, and da-da-da. Like, are you in this? Are you motivated? Yeah. And usually that kind of turns things
It's
around.
really important. I mean, all 3 of us would have had to do the exact same thing. So it's really important.
I loved hearing about, what were you going to say?
I was going to say some more successes, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. We'll hear all this.
Yeah, successes are great.
I loved hearing about your modifications that you can do in accommodations, and how the auditing and crediting, not auditing, but how that is different for each student and what they can do and what they are willing to do also. A lot of times it's that.
Yes.
But I was curious if, like, how that affects where they go afterwards. Like, does it affect the certificate that they get or the degree that they receive if it's one of the two?
Sure. So for Bear Power certificate, it does not matter.
Okay.
It's taking 6 hours a semester as a minimum. It's taking the Bear Power class. It's
Those are the
doing the
requirements.
social things. It's working in internships so many hours that we guide through the semesters. And so those pieces, as long as those are complete, I don't care if it's audit or credit, you get the certificate. But part of the successes I was going to say is that some of our students can also earn other undergrad certificates. So if they take those classes for credit and they meet those requirements, then they can do that. I've had one student, when he finished our program, had an IT certificate, so that was great for employment. And then I had a student that graduated this last fall. He had 3 other undergrad certificates in hospitality, and he's continued on. He wants to get more certificates, so kudos to him. We have had one student complete Bear Power and continue on and got her bachelor's degree. But most of the time, the students get the content they need and the work experience that they go into the workforce and they're happy with what they need. They don't necessarily need a degree or other certificates. I took these courses, I know more about this subject, I can do the work.
I said that Upside Down was one of the intern sites. And I'm curious, for us, I mean, we already that's part of it, is we accommodate for our friends that volunteer here at the shop and that intern. But for someone that is interning at a place that maybe they don't have accommodations or they've never had someone, do you ever work with new places that haven't worked with people with disabilities? And how do you support those employers as well?
Yeah, all the time, because we are looking at that individual interest area, their emphasis major per se. And whatever they're wanting to do is what we try to find. So like this semester, I have a student that is interested in reptiles. So I've had to go outside my comfort zone. I'm like, where am I going to find?
Dickerson Park Zoo.
Yeah, I was like, but they're not ready to go off campus yet.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
it's like, what can we do? And I met with a professor and they're like, yeah, I've never heard of you. I'm like, we've been here 6 years, but that's okay.
Maybe don't say that.
Not everybody's heard of us, and that's okay. It's part of the work. But he's like, yeah, I'm totally open to this. And what would that look like? And I was like, well, first you meet with a student, and then we can talk about what that would look like, accommodations and things like that. It could be just having directions written down. It could just a different way of talking to them, just like you all know when you're working with individuals, like what does that person need? And then teaching that individual to speak up, what do you need? But yeah, we work with all different kinds of people all the time.
Okay.
I'm going to begin this question by apologizing to our listeners because I think we're going to go a little longer than our normal time frame. But great conversations lead to that. And I was just kind of wanting to get in some of the details now.
Sure.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the program. So can you briefly talk to us about kind of what does the application process look like? Is this open to people across the country, across the world, or is it a local type program, things like that?
Sure. And the Bear Power program is for anyone that has finished high school, that has a known disability, cannot go to college with a traditional route. They have to be independent enough to live on campus. If they take medications, they need to be managing that on their own, taking care of their daily living skills, hygiene and feeding and all those kind of things. So there's a level of independence that is required. We don't have like a school nurse to check on their meds or anything like that. We can provide, here's some resources that you can check out to help you with managing medication, but we're not overseeing that. And being able to get to class and to answer emails, that's huge. Using a calendar, using email, please.
We worked that.
Yes.
We went through that last semester.
Yes. But that's life skills, right,
Yes.
for our day and age. Anyone can apply. So we've had students from all over the country.
Okay.
We are trying, my purpose, my personal goal, I should say, is to increase how many Missourians and Southwest Missourians we are serving. Because when I came, like, we had one. I'm like, that's not okay. So we have a good population of individuals that could benefit from the program. So I'm trying to get the word out with that. But we've had students from Florida, North Carolina, Minnesota, Colorado, Alabama, all over the place. Have to have finished high school. The application process is like a 30-page application, but half of the student fills out and half their parent fills out or support person. And then we have them come interview with us. We interview the student by themselves, the parents by themselves, and then together. And then the final phase of admissions is we bring them to campus for a whole day.
That's awesome.
So the students that have applied get to know each other. We do a scavenger hunt on campus. We have lunch together. We do we join a kinesiology class, so some kind of movement class. And then we do a service project. A lot of times we've replanted flowers for nursing home residents. Okay. And then we have one of our graduates from Bear Power come and teach what a vision board is. So what do you want out of life? What do you not want out of life? They create those, and then at the end of the day, the parents come back and the students present those vision boards. And
awesome.
So then we make our decision of who we want to admit.
So how does a family or an individual get in contact if they're interested? I'm sure the application is a good first step, but how can they get in contact with you guys if they have some more questions?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have on Missouri State's website. You can just search Bear Power. You bring you to our website. It has lots of information in there, including the financial costs, what's expected, how to apply, the peer mentors, who's donated to help support the program, all those kind of pieces. But we are also on Facebook and Instagram.
I should have maybe started with this question real quick. Sorry, I know we're going long here. Power stands for something.
It does.
Maybe we should have begun with
I
the whole conversation with that. And
Yes.
and I love the whole thing, but I love the last word in it. Can you tell everybody what the power in Bear Power stands for?
It stands for promoting opportunities for work, education, and resilience.
Love that resilience word there.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You learn something every day.
I was like, why is it all in caps?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, April, we really appreciate you joining us here today, and you know our goal here is to us to learn, you know, to be advocates and try to help individuals that we serve with Down syndrome kind of lead them to opportunities like what you guys are providing, but also hopefully our listeners can kind of pass on this word, especially with it being something available to anyone across the country, across the world. You know, they don't have to be local here to Southwest Missouri, although I know you said that is something you guys are really focusing on, is this area. But hopefully we can kind of be a springboard to help launch that. So listeners, share, pass the word along and get the word out for Bear Power, because they are absolutely incredible.
And it goes to show that our friends with disabilities are fully capable of going to college and having post-secondary education and independence. And getting to know them, even you're like, you can see, wow.
Yes.
Even you saying parents didn't know that, they're ready for this?
Yes. And not to discourage anyone from coming to Bear Power, but there are over 330 programs across the country. So if you go to thinkcollege.net, you can search. So if this one's not the right fit for you, maybe there's another program, different setup, format, whatever, location, that might be the better fit, and that's okay. We're all here for the same cause.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, April.
Thank you so much.
We really appreciate it. And to our listeners, we hope you'll join us for next month as well. And I look forward to hanging out with Chloe and talking a little bit more.
If you would like to learn more about Upside Down Mercantile, you can go to shopupsidedown.com or visit us on Commercial Street in Springfield, Missouri. If you have a topic you'd like to know more about, you can email them to info@dsgo.life.